Hello, and welcome to Interview with an Artist. Today, I'll be interviewing Okay, so hey, nice to have you, man.
Thank you for setting this up.
Yeah, this is the first one, so I don't know how this is gonna go, but let's just jump into it. Um,
That's gonna be great. It's gonna
yeah.
be awesome.
Okay, so Pop Fox, where'd that name come from?
So I was originally gonna call the band name Mesh Gear Fox, because I was a huge fan of Guided by Voices, especially in college, and it's kind of what started the whole recording process for me. It's like listening to this band that makes these like 2 to 2.5 minute long songs. They're like I guess you call them like kind of the pioneers of the lo-fi movement. You see stuff like lo-fi hip hop beats and that kind of stuff on like YouTube and that kind of thing. But like lo-fi, they are actually lo-fi. All of their stuff sounds like if somebody recorded it in a garbage can with the microphone.
Right.
It's just loud, loud garage rock music, and I was like, I want to make stuff like that. So I was originally going to call it Mesh Gear Fox, just because that's a song name they had, and I was a big fan of Foxes, of course. And that just seems it's really on the nose to me to just name your band like the song name of a different band. I was like, maybe it's a marketing thing. People will be looking for that song, and they'll like stumble upon my stuff. Um, and then I just kind of gave up on that. I was like, it's a little. If I discovered somebody doing that, I'd be like, well, that's goofy as hell. So I
But
just
you liked the
decided to
Fox.
abandon.
You liked the Fox part, so you just wanted to keep that.
Yeah, I talked with a friend. I was like, if Fox is, she's like, do you want to keep Fox in there? And I was like, yeah, I'm always a big fan of Foxes, and she just recommended like, how about just like a two-syllable thing, just pop Fox, like pop music. And I was like, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Um, and it's been great, except for now people think that's like my stage name.
Well, and
Just
a real annoying thing about it is on YouTube, when I type in Pop Fox, I can never find you. I have to put in your name plus a song. It's
I
a, it's
know.
it's real annoying. Even if I put in like Pop Fox, like music, band, stuff like that, it won't. That doesn't make it come up, and it's like, come on,
Uh, the
come,
the
come
algorithm. I
on,
just don't have. Come on! I just don't
come
have enough.
on.
I just need more stuff going on there
I
before
suppose.
anything.
Well, you have yeah, but I mean, you got a lot on there, so I don't know. Not a
Yeah, I
whole,
think
quite a bit. I mean, so
for for the first 2 year output, I'm pretty happy with it because it's mostly just like a lot of it is Christmas covers, which um, those are like benchmarks almost. It's like learning
they were
in order
rad.
to really. Yeah, and I appreciate that, man. That's learning how to really um how to actually do production and how to do recording, because like Christmas songs are so ubiquitous, and it's like it's the chord progression, all that stuff, real easy to put down. So you can screw them up and make them boring by just messing up the composition and stuff. So which is still easy to do, and especially with like Christmas songs. So that has always been like, okay, first year, not a whole lot of it's you have the one song that's just like a chug and rock song the entire way through, and that's fine. But then second year, you get into like the kind of dynamics you notice, like the songs stop and start a little bit more, and then that kind of transfers into like moving into 2022. Now there's like more dynamics and stuff. I've gotten better at like actually composing a song, and putting like different elements and stuff in it. So
Yeah, you
the
can.
Christmas stuff has been good for that.
That's great. Yeah, you can definitely see that there. I mean, I always think it was good. Just saying, I always think it was good, but it definitely the quality. It seems like you've put a lot more time into the newer stuff, even if it was inspired by the lo-fi to begin with. It seems like you've gone in the direction of actually wanting it to sound really like well produced and good,
Yeah,
which is
well, it was.
awesome.
Yeah, and a lot of that comes from like real early on. Back when I was in the band, with my college roommates called the Clinton era. Back then, it was just kind of like um, the biggest problem I had with us, like as a band in a whole, and it really bled into kind of some of the live shows and stuff, is we didn't really recompose anything from like what I would just pop on the computer. Um, and the problem with that is like the drum beats and stuff that you can just program in a lot of the time. It's just up and down. So like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and that is okay, but it gets there's not a whole lot of room for variety in there. So like trying to transfer that into like an actual song sometimes it works for maybe like a minute at a time. But you eventually have to do something to keep people interested, and you know, just like listening back to it, you know, those the reason that guided by voices kind of gets away with it a lot of the time and why I kind of moved away from that. Guided by voices songs are anywhere from 30 seconds to 2 minutes long. Something that we started out with. So Pop Fox kind of just started because it was obviously another thing that started in the midst of the pandemic, right? It's like you're running out of stuff to do. You need to like reinvigorate some of your hobbies while you have the time because you're home all the time now. um, and so I think it was like September 2020. I introduced the page and I was like, okay, I'm going to start doing stuff again under this moniker. And it was real easy to kind of fall back into the trap of like, okay, it's up and down beats again. We're just gonna, and all I really wanted to do was record all this old stuff that I'd recorded in college. And we're talking like, I have a backlog of about 50 to 60 songs from that time. So like, I wrote a lot of stuff, um, and I was just sending it. It was like it was meant to be Clinton era stuff, or it was meant to just be sent to like friends or to like a MySpace page I had back then. Um, and I just kind of it sprung from like I better start recording this because I'm gonna start forgetting all of this stuff. It's gonna like some of the files weren't able to like be grabbed anymore. I had to like dig deep into some hard drive that had almost been lost to find like what one sounded like. So it just kind of sprang out of like, I need to get all this stuff out before I forget it. So a lot of like good stuff is stuff like Genius Man, for instance, is like 12 years old.
Oh,
Um,
really?
but instead of just doing a shot for shot recording for all this stuff now, it's all like, let's, it's all like everything you've learned in the past 12 years put that into the song. So instead of just like, okay, I'm gonna re-record it and it's gonna be hi-fi and you know whatever, it's kind of like no, it's there's stuff that needs to be added to all this. It's just like you've got the skeletal framework of a rock song somewhere in there. There is a lot of stuff that needs to be added so that people who have never heard it before can listen to it and go, "Oh yeah, I like all this like 90s alt rock stuff." And that sounds like that. You know, there's things to bridge the gap that I've learned like over the years in terms of like recording and production. That's necessary to go into it. So it's a lot of remembering stuff and then trying to fight off like wanting to make like 30 new songs. Like it's it's now it's just record it and then focus on making as you know the songs that I have recorded as good as possible. Then move on to the next set. And that kind of thing.
Well, that's cool. I'm glad to hear that you have so many ideas for future stuff, like after this too. It sounds like.
Yeah, the so like so Make Me New was the most recent one, and that was another one that's around 12 or 13 years old. But the original version of that song is very it's pretty dry. It's very loud, but it's very dry. Um, this one it's kind of like just to take that as like an example of all the different production stuff to add over the years. First and foremost, just throwing a guitar down. Obviously, you're not exploring the space a lot of the time when you're listening to like you got these two headphones or you got a speaker system or even like mono or something. There's a lot of space to fill there. So if you got one guitar coming through, a lot of the time that is not really going to wow anybody. It's just little tricks like recording the guitar part, record it again. This is your left and right channel. And then you start taking stuff from the years and years of watching YouTube that that everybody's done from our generation, especially. And one of the most biggest examples I can think of right off the bat is there's that guy, Your Movie Sucks, and he has this 2.5 hour long video about the Lion King,
Oh
and
my
I
god, I fucking love that video. Dude, I'm not even
yeah.
kidding. I watched that and I was like, because I was going through a phase where I was watching a lot of movie review things on YouTube and I was like, these are all really terrible. But I think that he is really in like a league of his own. He like that must have taken so much work. Like the
Oh yeah.
dedication that went into that Lion King video is like I can just imagine. I mean, and then I found out it did. It's like it took him months apparently to put that thing together.
Yeah, he's got all the videos. Like there's making of videos for that one, and they're all awesome too. The big thing with that one though, a big takeaway I had from that was he was going through, that part where he's talking about the music, um, and how that's all screwed up. Like the
Yeah,
music is
yeah,
completely messed up.
yeah.
And
It would in the old one, it would like go with the scene. So if you fell down, it would be like or whatever. And in the new one, it just played the old music, but it didn't have the animation or not the animation, but the movement to like back it up. So
exactly,
it would just play like these random musical cues where like they didn't belong, basically.
you had random musical cues.
Yeah.
A big thing that sticks out, remember him talking about the triangle, because he brings it up a couple different times about how the new music they for whatever reason take the triangle out of the right channel of the song.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
and this is just an example of how when you're doing recording and production and stuff, there are little details that end up meaning a lot to the overall sound of things. So Make Me New, it has like when you're talking about the audio cues and stuff, there are like you'll hear the guitar do like there's little things that are supposed to like trigger, okay, the next part of the song is about to start.
Yeah.
And then there's like throughout the chorus, we got egg shakers in the left channel, there's a wood block in the right, and there's actually like maracas in one part of the song. It's like just little things to get you from one section to the next. Um, and that's some shit I never would have like even thought to put in a lot of this stuff had it not been for the fact that we've had like a renaissance of YouTube videos showing you and like just not just like how to do stuff, but how not to do stuff. What breaks down and makes a really awful composition, or how do you turn a good composition into a bad one? And it's stuff like that. You're pulling out really key parts of like rhythm and things that your brain subconsciously latches onto, adding those in made for a much bigger and like fuller sound for even just that one song. So that was like it's taking your hobbies and stuff and trying to mesh them all together. So like you love watching YouTube, I love making songs and stuff, but there are obvious like ways that these things match up that you can use every part of the buffalo for each of your hobbies that you don't even think about. And one of them was just kind of like, I didn't want to record that day. I wanted to watch YouTube. So I ended up watching his video for like the third or fourth time. And for some reason it clicked to me when I was like when he was going over that part about the triangle. I like pulled up a post-it note and like wrote triangle. I was like, don't forget this because when I go back to record, I need to add a few more elements to like the percussion section. And sure enough, like the chorus is way deeper for that. And um yeah, just that's there are so many resources like that available that we've been like consuming over the past 10 years. I don't even think we realize
Yeah.
how much information we're even sitting on at some points. The tutorial videos I use to actually get better at like producing and that kind of thing. It's just called "You Suck at Producing."
That's funny.
So there's like this whole YouTube seminar, I'd almost call it, where it's just this guy that's just like, let's start off by just telling you like, okay, you're bad at this and your song sucks. I'm gonna help you make it not suck or suck less, So um, and then just going through like the basics. Here's how you really put how you do a nice recording. And then EQ. Here are the frequencies you kind of want to boost and stuff. And it's stuff in hindsight sounds really really obvious, but sometimes you wouldn't know it unless somebody points it out. Like If the key of the song is A, then the frequencies that you normally like in the mid and high and bass frequencies you're going to want to do, you want to put those in the key of A as well, and like make sure that like, okay, here's the frequency for A, make it big there, and then drop it off on like the dissonance stuff, that kind of thing, that makes for a more cohesive sound overall. Because as soon as you start smacking compressors and stuff on there, and you can hear this a lot and some of the older stuff I made. Um, it it really sounds like stuff is colliding, but you can't really place your brain around like what is it that's not meshing together here. And a lot of it is just because you're pushing the wrong frequencies in certain areas, or two things aren't going together. And
Yeah.
a lot of
Hey,
yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, it's okay. I'm super red. The lighting makes me look like I'm really red, right? Don't I look like super burnt?
No, you look great.
No, but for
You
real
look
though,
burnt.
I don't.
You look a little burnt.
I guess
Okay, you do look a little burnt.
but I'm not. That's the thing. It's just the lighting is really
Is
weird. Yeah.
it?
Yeah, I only have like one
It's
small lamp in here and I put it on the ground so it wasn't like directly behind me cuz you're not obviously that's like cardinal sin. Don't film with like a light right behind your head, right? But it
yeah.
didn't seem. Um so what's next for the music? What's you got a new
Well,
video
we get
coming out or anything?
yeah. Well, good stuff. Side B is still. I'm slated to have that out before the end of 2020. Um, I have no idea like a specific date. It just kind of depends on how the mixing goes sometimes, because like I'll get through everything's recorded, but that doesn't mean anything because like you get through a certain part of the song, and if it sounds like crap, once you start pushing certain things up, then you have to redo everything again and sometimes start from scratch. But the songs are picked at the very least, and that's the thing that takes the longest amount of time. So I'm aiming for November. That way, for December, I can just kind of push it out and do the Christmas stuff at the same time. Um, so that's that. Then after that's going to be, if you remember at the very beginning, I had a thing called White Trash Superstar.
Yeah, I do.
Um,
That I type that in sometimes when I'm trying to find you on YouTube, like I said.
that's the easiest way
It's a
to.
very memorable one.
So that's that. I'm gonna redo that same thing, like a part A and a part B, just to kind of every 6 month, hopefully every like 6 to
You gotta kind of George
eight
Lucas it
months.
a little bit.
Yeah, just kind of keep pushing stuff out on it as a somewhat steady stream.
Yeah.
12 is such a lot of stuff and such a long time between releases that just kind of breaking it up and kind of goofing on the whole vinyl motif um, has seemed to work a little bit better, because like releasing the songs one at a time on Facebook, I noticed people were like, I missed it. Like just like every 2 or 3 weeks you come out with some bullshit and I missed the last one.
Dude,
So
that's so brutal to have to try to advertise music like through Facebook and Twitter and things like that. It's just that kind of stuff is fucking rough.
there's a couple interesting things about that. Since you bring it up, and this is another thing that kind of fuels my desire to just keep doing stuff. So long term goal is before 2023, I'd like to have like 20 of my own, not including Christmas stuff, 20 of my own songs like uploaded by the end of next year. Because I forget the exact statistic. I think it's something like 95% of all Spotify artists, they have like under 5 songs. It's just a bunch of people, because it's easy to get on Spotify now. There's, if you use DistroKid or like TuneCore, and there's nothing wrong with that really. It's just, it is like if you're trying to make money at it. I'm not necessarily trying to do that. This is first and foremost a way for me to just kind of record this stuff and then make sure that for posterity, whether I have kids or grandkids, like they're always able to see that somebody in their family was able to record stuff, and whatever the implications of that are, if they want to do it too. Um, and like having a bunch of stuff on there, because a huge majority of people who are making music right now, they'll do 3 or 4 songs and then just kind of drop it. And then those songs are just on Spotify, and Spotify uses those metrics to basically justify not paying the royalties out because there are just so many artists that get on there, make a few bucks and then split. And to them, it's not cost effective to really push any other artists out. And every music service will say the same thing. Um, it really shouldn't be a pay to play thing. There does have to be some quality control with it, I think, to actually like push your music out sometimes. Um, but since we don't really have that, the main thing you can do at this point is just have a bunch of it out, and then put it on curation lists. Like, please, can you? I have 20 songs here. One of these has to be good for like this radio, or um, can you push this out? This will be linked up. Like, it's just now after I think like the album has been played a total of like 700 times at this point, which is great. That side A has. It's starting to show up alongside like the Guided by Voices and Teenage Fan Club and like all those weird 90s bands that a lot of a lot of dorks love. We call it dork rock, but um, that's all kind of starting to happen even with just like 6 songs. So get 20 out there, do my best on each of them, get as many out there as I possibly can. And just, that's the main goal is to just keep making stuff.
Yeah, it's all you can do. Just got to keep at it. I'm excited, man. I'm sure it sounds like you're putting a lot into it now. So then you were saying that after this you're gonna do White Trash Superstar over again, which was an old album that you did. But then you're gonna just like add this extra layer of depth that you were talking about. Basically, I don't know how else to refer to it.
Yeah, depth is really good because right now a lot of it is very shallow. It's just it's repetitive, some of it is not exactly, you know, there's a good idea in there, but what I want is like I think we were talking about this before, a kind of signature. When you hear a beach house song, even before looking, you're like, that's fucking beach
Right.
house. You're like, that's definitely beach house. I do want something like that eventually for like the pop fox sound. Basically, just something comes on and you're like, I know it's that guy. I know it's that guy making music. And not necessarily kind of like this mesh of like, here's a bunch of stuff, a bunch of sketches that I made before. Um, just revisiting that, and then after that, really focusing on like, okay, that's now the last 15 years of stuff has finally been exhausted. Now I'm going to move forward to this other kind of uh, more stuff to say. The Charlotte and Tan, the Curse of Coinage, the Mitochondria song, like there's obviously a lot loftier themes going on because I just have I think I have more to say as we move further in life. So and you get angrier at the system around you.
Yeah,
It's
that's
just
definitely true.
and that's the thing is that the songs are not always going to be angry. They're not always going to be politically charged. But a lot of them are. I mean, like uh, somebody last Thanksgiving when I went home, some of my mom's fans, and they're like, my mom has a bunch of people who actually listen to my music. And these are like Eagles fans and like, you know, that kind of stuff. So Charlotte and Tan was kind
Wait,
of written for them.
what do you mean by Eagles fans? Like,
You remember the Eagles? Take it easy.
oh, the band, the Eagles,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
The Philadelphia Eagles,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah. That's. I was like, are they from Philadelphia? Yeah. Okay.
Hotel California. I don't know why I went
Yeah.
immediately to take it easy,
Yeah. Hotel California is definitely the band.
but
But
but stuff like that, more and Cheap Trick and that kind of thing. And when they prick their ears up and they go, "That sounds pretty good," that's like, okay, well, that's more mainstream appeal almost because they're almost like people cater to what they listen to a lot of the time, and they really liked the song "Charlotte and Tan," and that was a lot of. It's like a low key song that I wrote. There's almost no distortion in it. It's just very much like singing and kind of chill vibes. It is also I will say probably the angriest song I've ever written because it's just all about people who like will get through some kind of tough situation, whether it's addiction or poverty or something, and then pull the ladder up behind them and be like, "Hey, fuck you, got mine, man. Like I got I." I made it out. Everybody should be able to make it out without like realizing all of the different things that lead up to it and all the things that other people might not have. And obviously, Charlotte and Tan is a play on the word charlatan. So like it's that kind of thing. Just like the compositions get a little more mature, and the lyrics, it's just getting more and more getting better at saying what I want to say.
Well, that's
So
cool. That's got to be
yeah.
like nice creatively, you know.
It's never going to be like a man. I would love to make this my career thing. One, because I don't really see it going that way like ever without like a lot of pumping a lot of money into like marketing, and we're spending a lot of time like doing promoting it somewhere, but also because um this is probably not something I'd want to do as a career. There's other stuff if I was to go into work as like um for like creative, if I wanted to be in any kind of creative career, there's other stuff I'd want to do, um including like um we're starting to learn coding and like learning Unity and that kind of thing. If that ever took off, I would rather be like a video game developer or just like an indie game maker or something than ever be like a full-time musician. Those would be more the dream jobs versus like, okay, my sole purpose is to just make music because um, there's not enough to making music a lot of the time. I have to be in the mood for it, which is the other reason that the albums take a while to come out,
Yeah.
is because it's one of those things where it's like I don't feel like doing it every day. And if it were my job, I'd be like, I would go a week without doing it, and that to me is not a job. That's just like I just want that to stay a hobby so I don't get burned out on it. Yeah, but you get stuff like I like the video editing aspect of it. I'm not super good at it, but like all those videos where like I'll record myself doing different stuff and like get my cat involved, like
Right.
those are fun and those take up enormous amounts of time. I could easily see myself doing like uh spending entire months putting something like that together, and even just learning how to program stuff in Unity, enormous amounts of time, like hours at a time, just coding to figure out how to make a block go left and right on the screen. Um,
That's cool. I didn't
and
know you did that stuff. That's neat.
yeah, it's just learning how to do stuff like that. So those are the type of things, and then I would use like what I've learned from music to put that in there. But as far as like those dudes who have a real passion for guitar playing and music and songwriting and stuff, I think they do have the ability to wake up every day and be like, I'm going to do this, 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 and this. I can't wait to boot up Ableton and do all those different things. Or I'm going to get on Fiverr and touch up all these different songs with like, and use my knowledge of how to use EQ and compressors and all the different ways you can manipulate reverb and delay to make something sound good. Um, I'll queue up like 25 jobs and do them all, and that's just going to be my job. And for me, I'd be like, oh, that I would rather just have my office job because it's like I would hate to suck at it. Is the other thing is to get there and just be like, I'm not very good at this. I'm getting burnt out on
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, man, there's a lot to it for that kind of thing. But but you should still keep making music cuz it's good, and who knows, you know? Maybe even if it's like a small group of people who know about it, that small group of people know that it's fucking dank.
That's my dream. Is like even 10 or 20 years from now to like having a body, we'll say is like 50 songs deep at that point.
Yeah.
Somebody just stumbles upon it and goes, "What the hell is all this?" And they like listen to it and they're like, "This is great." And they share it around and they're like, "Listen to this dude's been making music for like 10 years and just now like discovered like um and they would get to me and I'd just be like, "Yeah, that's me." um, but that would be barring that for right now. I'm just having fun like um getting all this stuff, like dusting off all these old emails, finding all these old songs I used to write.
And running
Um,
with it. I feel like if just the right person heard your music, they would be like, this is dope. and then it could get spread. You just need to have like some real cool influencer dude. You know what I mean?
It's
I feel like that's how it works, right? I don't know.
Yeah, you know what it's gonna be is I'm gonna be running my mouth on Twitter or something, about some kind of politic thing, and somebody's gonna click on my profile and be like, "That's pretty good."
Yeah.
I'll be like, "Look at this dork, like making music,"
Is the
and that's what I'm waiting for. Is the one day I wake up and there's like 500 shares on a song or something, all because I was like, uh, making a dick joke on a Supreme Court thing. So,
Yeah, the Supreme Court. How about that? How does Pop Fox feel about the Supreme Court?
oh, not great.
Yeah.
Pop Fox supports no Supreme Court, no president, no Senate.
Yeah.
Um,
Does Pop
None of that. Pop Fox, the curse of coinage is literally a song about how money is a curse. So that's where Pop Fox stands as a starting point for political theory. So.
Dude, it's like some crazy Game of Thrones shit with the Supreme Court too, because they stay in there until they die. It's like obviously that's like so barbaric and like obviously not a good idea. I wanted to talk about your music a little bit more. You do everything for it, so you're like Trent Reznor, kind of.
Oh, I want to be like Prince.
Does Prince do that too? I didn't know that actually. That's cool.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
For You, his first album, he plays literally all the instruments on it.
oh, that's
Um,
super rad.
that's out of necessity a lot of the time,
Yeah.
because the alternative is I'd have to pay somebody to do it, which I don't mind doing. I really don't mind paying studio musicians to do stuff. It's just like, let's say they want $20 per song. That's not too bad until I get to like a 2 week stretch where I want to record 6 songs at once. I don't have $120 to spend, and I don't have the patience to like pace it out and say I'm not going to record the song until 2 weeks later, when I've got the budget for it.
Right.
I don't want to. I can't operate like that. I have to go very very quickly sometimes. So, um, a lot of the setup that I have for recording, it's very very fast to record. I can get a song recorded within 4 or 5 hours. It's everything else that takes the longer amount of time, like make going through, to do the EQ, adding instruments where needed, sometimes re-recording all that stuff. Um, but
I mean,
like,
sounds great. If it works, then that's the way to do it, I think. I don't know.
yeah,
You can
it's
completely control everything yourself. I mean,
yeah, it's that's just a drawback. Is like it's really hard to work with other people on it. I've tried to where like I'll send it out to other folks and be like, "Can you do a guitar part for this?" And I understand that everybody's like busy. They're not Their
right.
brain isn't running like a mile a minute on it like mine is sometimes, and I don't expect anyone to do that. It's just like I'll have a guitar part in mind for something after listening to it a few times, and then I'll just play that. And then after hearing it a few times, if it's not very good, like I'll go back and I'll play it again. So, the whole like playing every instrument thing, um, is it's just out of necessity. It's like if I don't do that, it slows the process down, or something doesn't sound particularly like I'd like it to, and I'd like to kind of like fine tune everything. Um, Maybe someday in the future, I'll be able to like work in some other musicians. We have a friend who's in the blends. Big shout out to the blends, Mr. Matthew Anderson, who he and I have always wanted to do stuff like since college, and um, that would be like very specifically stuff that he and I like write and work on together. Because if it was just like I wrote this song and sent it to him, I know I would be a big enough jerk that like I'd send him stuff and then I'd just go right back to it and just start adding stuff and being like, okay, never mind, I got it done already. Um, so projects like that, yeah, absolutely. Sometime in the future, working with other people, but for a lot of this pop Fox stuff, especially since it's um, a lot of the stuff I've already written, it's just gonna be like I'm just gonna play everything, until I've got it down, basically.
Dude, I definitely want to hear you and Matt play together. Matt
I
shreds.
do. I do too.
He's a very
He's
talented
way
guitar player.
he's way better at guitar than I am. So it
He
would be great to like I would love to just send him like an idea and just be like, here, just riff on this, and he would just go absolutely nuts on it. He and Mr. Force, like Nick Force is in the blends too, and Matt's partner right now, Dawn Hively, she does a lot of she and Matt do a lot of performing out there in Austin, Texas, and they do a lot of live shows.
Yeah,
Um,
I saw those.
I,
Those were cool.
yeah, I would love to work with all of these people and just like put stuff together. Um, and but it would have to, it would have to be like specifically stuff that we all kind of sit down and talk about. Like, here's what we want to make. It couldn't just be like, here I've got a drum part and a bass part and a guitar part. You guys just add stuff to it because that just wouldn't work for anyone. I don't think they'd just be like, okay, like here's some vocals. I guess it's like no, let's talk about it beforehand and like actually get like a plan going together, even an outline.
How do you get
And
an
then
outline for
from
a song ready? Do you have to have like the idea of what it's about first, and then you just kind
oh
of go from
yeah,
there?
and that's the other thing is like you have to have like an idea of what it is you even want to make in the first place. If I just send somebody like a draft of something, if you have no idea receiving that, you don't know what the emotion is supposed to be, what the tone is. You're just kind of guessing based off what you hear, and you could guess wrong, and then you have a mishmash of ideas that don't necessarily coalesce a lot of the time. Um, so an outline for a song is very much like let's take a table of here's bass, here's vocals, here's guitar, here's the approximate sound we're going for, and you could even find a reference track. Um, we would probably Matt and I would probably pull up something by the band Swerve Driver and say we want to have a song that's like this, and then he and I would like I'd be like, okay, I can come up with like a drum part and send him like a drum part and say, okay, does this match the tone of what we're going for? And if he says yes or signs off on it or might say, send that to me, I want to make some tweaks to it. So he and I are like composing off of each other on each part of the song. And then like you just do it that way, basically, just kind of like a block by block thing. Um, and I know a lot of that would probably sound like a nightmare to a lot of people, but the problem is like we're all like multi instrumentalists at this point. Like Matt can play drums, Nick Force can definitely play drums, and so all everybody's going to have an idea of like, you've got this, I have an idea to like make it better, and just kind of like pitching it back and forth until we get like the best version of a thing, and then just making a song like that, which is kind of when you put it to just like everybody just make a thing just play a guitar part and send it over and then there's no other input other than like that sounds good. Sometimes it stagnates kind of the whole process on that side. You got to have like a lot of good feedback from people to be like, I hear I be comfortable enough with musicians to like want to touch stuff up or like have an idea about a guitar part or something and put it in there. So that's the kind of outline where you'd have it where you basically you're just going through the song like block by block. Here's the guitar part, here's the drums, what needs to be changed and updated,
So
versus
they all have like their own recording setup, so they could do it like remotely and send it all to you, and you could like put it all together. Is basically how you would go about doing that because you guys are all in different places.
yeah. And there's I mean, technology has caught up with the fact that everybody is in different places that wants to record music a lot of the time. So you'll start off with like I'll make something on Ableton Live. I can put that. I forget the name of it. I think it's just called Split or something like that, or Splice. And Matt can pull it up from there, and Matt can like record a part that basically goes into the file. And there's just like this file in a cloud somewhere that stores all of our recordings, so that I can pull it up on Ableton Live on my computer, and just tweak it or put it where it needs to be in real time, basically. Um, So there are a lot of programs out there like that now that make it a lot easier for you to work on stuff with other people, versus how I think it probably was, when we were in college, which was like, I don't know, send an acid profile back and forth and make sure all the recordings are intact. Otherwise, it's not going to work.
Right. Oh yeah. Aren't side A and side B supposed to come out at the same time?
Generally, yes. That's the joke.
What's your game here? What's no.
To dangle juicy bits.
Yeah,
A
no.
side A implies that there's a side B coming. So
No.
anybody that enjoyed side A has to be like, when the fuck is side B coming out?
No, totally. I understand that. That I'm that person. I'm waiting for side B. And you
It
said
was
February or something?
February at the very, very latest. I'm aiming for it to be out before the end of this year.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Are you gonna release it like in singles or maybe like one single and then the rest of it, or do you have any plans for that? Is there like one you're working on more than the others, or right now?
This one I'll probably release like each of them as like a video on Facebook and maybe on YouTube, and then I'll do the official release with all of them together. Um, there's going to be some differences between like, we'll say like the ones I release on Facebook are going to be the quote unquote radio edits,
Yeah.
and then the album to make them all kind of flow together a little more cohesively. There's going to be, like intros and outros to the songs that kind of make it feel like a more albumy experience. But I also want to be able to have like those songs available without the stuff in front of and behind them if people want that too.
If you could jam with anyone through history, who would it be?
It would be Jonathan Bates
Jonathan
from
Bates.
Mellodrone and Big Black Delta fame.
Oh, okay, okay. I heard Bates and I thought of like Psycho. That
No,
yeah.
not Norman,
Norman
not
Bates.
Norman Bates.
Yeah, I was like Norman Bates.
No, I've
No, yeah, I love Big Black Delta. They're fantastic. It's maybe one of my favorite bands, in fact.
he is he's the guy behind it, and he is really really good at guitar. He's really good at fucking everything.
He's got really
Um,
fucking cool videos too. Like some of
he,
those like
he
older ones for like Money Rain Down and stuff. Those are like so good.
he goes all out on that stuff, and I would love to like, yeah, absolutely. At some point, I'd just be like, I'll send you like a guitar part or something. We can see how it goes.
But anyone throughout history, so like you'd rather do it with him than like Abraham Lincoln or something,
Yeah, I think so.
right?
Um,
What
well,
about
I mean, like,
you could ask
because
a lot of important questions though.
there's people I would like to talk to, and just ask questions to, or like get to know, or even be friends with. When it comes to like, who do you want to work with on a fucking song, which could be a very stressful experience? Jonathan Bates is a very zen-like individual. He seems very, very calm and very measured. He's worked with lots of different people, so I feel like he would be very patient with me. Whereas like a lot of these people who are like really, really just good at guitar and or just good at what they do, they just be like, I can't deal with this. This, like dude is just all over the place or whatever. So
That's a good
um,
choice. He's
taking
great.
taking all that into account, I would have to say Jonathan Bates for sure.
Is who's your biggest when did you get into music? It was like middle school or something, right? Or was it before that?
Yeah, I mean, it was a long time ago. It was the first time I ever recorded anything was in middle school because you had that program on like early Windows, just sound recorder.
Yeah.
Um, and it was like you can record a sound, but then a lot of people didn't know that you could take that same thing and like record sounds over it. So you could, in essence, like put on your own radio drama if you wanted, where like you'd say all the lines for one person, and then go through and then like record another thing like over that. Um, so it was like my first little foray into like, here's how to actually here play a piano part and then play another piano part over that, and then you can reverse certain things, so it sounds like ethereal and weird and all this other stuff. Um, and yeah, so that was like my first ever song recording was way back in middle school with that kind of stuff, and just been like got my hands on a copy of Acid Pro through totally legal means.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, no, no key code breakers or anything were used
That's
in the.
disgusting. We wouldn't even consider
Yeah,
doing something like that.
absolutely not.
Yeah.
Um, but then like yeah, that then it's just kind of like here's multi-track recording that you can actually see. You don't have to guess at it.
Yeah.
Um, and here's all the different effects and stuff you can put on it. And that would have been high school when I started goofing around with that kind of thing. My busted ass Logitech microphone. Even
What was your first guitar? Was that in middle school?
oh my gosh. Um, the first guitar I ever got was a bass guitar. It was a Rogue bass that my parents bought me. They bought me that and a Red Hot Chili Pepper soundbook.
Hey, that's pretty cool.
Um,
I mean, as far as bass
yeah,
players go, Flea's one of the best, right?
yeah, and that was like that's how I that was my foray into like learning how to play an instrument. Okay, you need to learn how to do this like Flea, and then like I remember very vividly after learning a few songs, I went out and bought like Primus had a DVD out that had all of their music videos on it, called "Animals Should Not Try to Act Like People," and I like there was a month in high school where I just watched those videos like over and over and over again, so I could watch him do his, uh, Les Claypool doing his and it's just like okay, that is what I need to be doing, and just trying to get as good at bass guitar as I could. And from there, the first guitar I ever owned, that I bought myself was that one, my my Dan Electro Dead On 67,
That's cool.
and yeah, because up till then it was all borrowed guitars. Like um, I think I think Nick Force lent me a Squire guitar for like a really long time, and then when I bought that one, I finally gave that one back to him. He had a really nice wooden Squire guitar that I thought was like the coolest thing in the world until I got my own guitar, and that's generally what I would use for recording. And then that thing, specifically a Dan Electro, one because they're cheap. Dan Electro guitars are not expensive, but two because that Beck song E Pro that has that really really deep and kind of like really awesome guitar part in it. Um, I remember seeing a video of him playing that, and he's playing this weird ass looking guitar, and it's a Dan Electro, and I was like, well, that's all I'm playing from now on. And I have kept to that since. All I've played are Dan Electro guitars for
Right.
like
And that's the one on the left.
that's this electric one
Oh,
here.
okay, okay,
This
okay.
this one I bought off eBay, and it's like that guitar is like 100 years old.
It looks cool. I don't really
Yeah,
know much about guitar, but I know that it
I
looks cool. I
I don't either. All I know is it looks cool and it's old. That's the only advantage I have.
well, it sounds good. So,
Yeah, it's that's the surprising thing is like if you hear an acoustic guitar on the recordings, it's that fucking thing right there. So even 100 years after the fact, it's still serving its purpose, which is just nuts to me that a guitar can last that long.
yeah, that is super cool. Um so where are you? You're on YouTube and Spotify.
We're on YouTube, Spotify. There's some shit floating around Pandora. YouTube's the big one. YouTube and Spotify are the two big ones. It's on YouTube Music. So if you ever make a playlist, it's stuff that you can like search through and find on there. And then definitely on Facebook too. That's where I upload all the newest content is always going to go on Facebook first.
Okay. Sorry, I cut out for a second, but when that happens, I'm gonna have like a screen come up that like shows the logo where it shows me talking to Mozart. I think that we went with Mozart. I forgot what Carmen drew, but it says interview with an artist. Huh? All right. Well, I'll talk to you later. Have a good one, man.
Bye, buddy.
Thanks for doing this. See ya.